I spent over £1,300 buying the cheapest electric golf trolleys that Powakaddy, Motocaddy and Ben Sayers currently have in their lineup. I've given them a serious test out on the course, so if you're in the market for a cheap electric trolley, I'm going to tell you what I like, what I don't, and which one I think you should buy. I'm going to compare these three trolleys in 5 key areas: value for money, build quality and design, folding and storage, battery systems, and what they like to use on the course. So let's jump straight in with value for money. Let's start with the Motocaddy here in the middle. So this retails for £550, although you can often find it on sale for around £500, which is what I paid for this. And for that £500, I also got a free accessory, and I chose the winter mitts which attach to the handle. However, I kind of wish that actually I bought an umbrella holder or a carry case to stop my car from getting so muddy when I'm using this out in the winter. Next up, we have got the Powakaddy FX1. Now, this is the most expensive of the three. This retails for £599, and I've managed to get £50 off in the sale. And again, I got one free accessory for that £550. And this time I made a better decision and got the carry case, which I've actually got right here. So it opens up nice and wide. You can just put the trolley into the case, and then it's nice and easy to transport with some good solid handles on the top. So lastly, we have got the Ben Sayers 18-hole lithium trolley. This retails for $499, but you can often find it on sale for a lot cheaper. Now, on various retailers, you can currently get this on offer for around £350. If you're a member at Costco and they have it in stock, then I actually managed to get this from Costco for £299. Now, that is significantly cheaper than these other two, but there's more, because you actually get £150 worth of accessories with the Ben Sayers as well. So not only do you get a carry case, you also get a rain cover, although I've never really decided to use it, but it covers your whole bag. You get the umbrella holder, you get a scorecard holder, which is actually quite a nice little accessory and works pretty well. You also get a phone holder too. Although, no, I did break that the first time I used it when I was seeing if it rotated, and it just snapped off in my hand, so it wasn't necessarily the best build quality, and we'll come on to that a little bit later. But in terms of value for money, the Ben Sayers beats the other two hands down, because it's significantly cheaper and comes with more stuff as well. Let's move on to quality and design, and let's get the absolute obvious out of the way first. The Ben Sayers is the clear loser in this department. What you save on with money, you lose out on in quality materials and feel and build quality, really. The handles feel very plasticky and just don't feel particularly nice to hold. There's a lot of flexibility in the frame. It is easily the most lightweight of these trolleys, although that could be a positive thing depending upon how you look at it. The control module looks like it took inspiration from a 1980s VCR recorder, if you're old enough to even know what one of those are. And the overall look and design of the trolley is a little bit more bare bones and basic. You've just got this simple frame design. The actual folding mechanism feels cheap and plasticky. Everything feels cheap and plasticky. The battery doesn't fit actually in the battery holder tray. One other thing with the Ben Sayers is that the motor underneath isn't particularly covered. It's quite exposed, and you've just got this metal fastening strap kind of holding it in place on the bottom. When you compare that to one of the other ones, you can see here you actually have the plastic casing covering the bottom of the motor. One thing to note though is that Ben Sayers do offer an incredible amount of replacement parts on their website. I've never really seen, well, anyone do this before. So you can order replacement clutches for the wheel, you can order a replacement circuit board and display, or even a dial. That is a great thing in terms of sustainability, because I'd much rather try to repair something than just turn it into e-waste and throw it away as soon as the smallest thing breaks. I don't want to beat up on the Ben Sayers too much, because it is so much cheaper than the other two. These two feel pretty similar, which means that they just feel significantly more solid than the Ben Sayers. They both have nicer feeling handles, much better ergonomic design. They've got a rubbery grip on them that feels much better. The plastics being used just feel a lot more solid. There's a lot less kind of wriggle and flex in the frame. The elastic straps being used to attach to the bag just feel a little bit thicker and better quality. Both of these trolleys have proprietary bag holding technology down at the bottom, which means that if you have a Powakaddy or a Motocaddy bag, then you don't need the bottom straps. Both of the batteries fit neatly into the units and just look nice and sleek and match with the design. Neither of these trolleys have a display on the front showing the speed setting, something that the Ben Sayers does have. And there are a couple of things which set these two apart. With the Motocaddy, you have a USB port on the underneath, which you can use to charge your devices. You don't get that on the Powakaddy. However, with the Powakaddy, you do have the ability to adjust the height of the handle with 3 settings. I've currently got this in the middle setting here, so you can see it's sitting slightly lower between the two. Between the two, there's not too much to choose from, really. I think I probably would give the edge slightly to the Powakaddy in that it just feels even more solid. Next up is folding and storage, but just before I get to that, if you are finding this video helpful, please make sure you tap the like and subscribe buttons. And given that you are watching a video about the cheapest electric trolleys, if you're the type of golfer that likes a bit of a bargain, then make sure you sign up to my free monthly Golf Deals newsletter. It's the first link in the description of this video, because every month I send out the best online golf deals that I find straight to your inbox. It takes 2 seconds to sign up, and it means that you'll never miss the best deals out there online. Now, all three fold down to a pretty similar size, although the Ben Sayers is my least favourite of the three. Now, the first reason for that is because you have to remove the battery to get it to fold down as flat as possible. With the Ben Sayers, you have a clip at the back, which means that it detaches from that section there, and then you just fold the top part over on itself. Sorry, the top part goes down first, and then that bit goes in front. One thing that I'm not a fan of with the Ben Sayers is that it doesn't have any clips to hold it in place. So annoyingly, you go to pick it up and you've got to make sure that you grab the right section to keep it in one piece. You can see it sits absolutely fine upright if that's the way you want to store it, resting on the middle of the hinge there. Hang on, that's in the way. It does actually fold down smaller than that. There we go. The folding mechanism is the most fiddly of the three. You kind of have to line it up right and then hook it into place. So yeah, that's why I rate the Ben Sayers third. The Motocaddy has a nice simple button on the side here. You literally just push that button and then it folds over nicely. You might have heard it click when I put it in, which means now it stays together. You don't have to worry about where you're putting it up. Not quite a fan of with the Motocaddy is that you can see there that it's resting on the split hinge there at the back, and what that is actually the power cable going from the handle down to the motor. That seems to be kind of sitting on that. Not the biggest fan of that design choice. And that brings us to the Powakaddy. So the Powakaddy is probably the simplest of the mechanisms because it's one button there underneath. Push that down and it folds and clips in 2 places at the front and at the back. And again, that means that you can pick this up wherever you want really, and you haven't got to worry about the trolley unfolding. Now, similar to the Motocaddy, I have a little bit of a gripe with the design of the Powakaddy, and that's that you can see here the handles are resting very close, depending upon the orientation of the floor, actually resting on the front of the handles, which might mean that you get a little bit of damage over time. That being said, my favourite of the three is probably just about the Powakaddy because it's got that simple one button and it clips both top and bottom when you store it down. However, the Motocaddy isn't hard to do. You've got the button there, which I just forgot about, but you lift up the middle, which you've got a little bit, it says pull or hold here. You pull that up, it clips into place and it's in. And as you can see here, the Ben Sayers, a little bit more fiddly. You've got to hook this bit in place on the bottom. I've missed it. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. Now it's in. You kind of have to hold your foot down because it's a more lightweight trolley. Is it going to clip in? Did it clip? No, it still hasn't clipped in. Why is it not clipping in? There we go. No, why is it not clipping in? There we go. Now it's clipped in. You can see there's a live demonstration there. It works. It does the job. It's just a bit more fiddly. Next up, let's talk about the battery life and the charging units. So all three of these are 18-hole batteries. At least I think the Motocaddy is an 18-hole. It's called a lithium ultra, but I can't find anywhere which suggests that that's actually a 36. Pretty sure that's an 18-hole battery. In terms of the actual battery chargers, the Ben Sayers charger is the smallest of the three and has the lowest amp output, which I found meant that Ben Sayers took the longest to charge. I really like the charger of the Motocaddy unit because it's actually got 3 lights on the charger itself, which gives you an indication as to how long left it's going to take to charge. With the Ben Sayers and the Motocaddy, you can actually unplug the battery from the units via the cables, and that means that you can actually charge the batteries while they are still housed in the unit, in case you keep them in a garage or something like that. It means you haven't got to take the battery out. You can do if you want, but you've got the option. With the Powakaddy, you've got the plug and play battery system, which means that you have to take it out in order to charge this battery. Now, that's not a problem in and of itself. However, it does mean that you are more likely to forget that the battery isn't in the trolley when you take it to the golf course, because you have to take the battery out to charge it. I've done that once before in my life. It's really annoying, and you end up with a really heavy and expensive push trolley. The battery is another area where you can see Ben Sayers are saving their money. It is the smallest of the lot. The cable is very thin compared to the other two. I don't have much faith in this. The connector again looks a little bit kind of retro and utilitarian, I suppose. And the battery itself is covered in this neoprene jacket. Now, that's to protect it from the elements, I suppose, but it does look like it's about to go scuba diving. And as I said before, you've got the rather rudimental Velcro fastening, which means that it's going to stay there, but that battery is going to rattle around in its larger housing. Now, let's get to the really important part and talk about how these trolleys actually perform out on the golf course. And it's probably not as simple as you might think, because although the Ben Sayers has taken a pretty significant battering in this comparison test, in terms of the actual features that this trolley has, it absolutely crushes the other two. On paper, at least. First of all, let's just cover off the key features that all 3 of these trolleys share. None of them have a rear stabilising wheel, which means that if you're not paying attention on a slope, these trolleys all will tip up. Also, none of these trolleys have downhill control, which means they probably will run away from you if you're not holding on and paying attention. Now, the Motocaddy and the Powakaddy are pretty much the most basic trolleys that I've ever used. You turn them on with the speed dial, you press the pause button to stop them, and that's about it. Neither of these trolleys have a display telling you which speed setting you've got them on, and neither of them have the ability to press a button for the trolleys to go a set distance and then stop. I've got to admit, that's pretty disappointing for the money that you are spending for both of these trolleys. So let's go into the specific details of each of these trolleys, starting with the Motocaddy. Now, first of all, I've got to say that the motor is very nice and quiet, probably the most quiet of all 3. None of them particularly stood out as being noisy, but I think the Motocaddy just has the edge. The dial is nice and solid to use, and you get a good click for turning it on and off. However, when you're using the trolley, and you press the button to pause it, no matter what speed that you were originally using the trolley at, it will reset it back to level 2 out of 9, I think, which is an absolute snail's pace when you go to start it off again. Now, that's not the end of the world, but it is a little bit frustrating given that that's not how other trolleys work. Another reason why that's a little bit more frustrating is simply because you haven't got the speed dial to know, okay, there we go, I've set it to level 6 and off we go. You're constantly going to kind of go, oh, was that level 6? Was that level 4? Was that level 3? I don't know. Feels a little bit slow to me, feels a little bit quick. Just a bit frustrating. On the positive side, there is a little LED display panel which has 2 lights on it. One on the left-hand side telling you if the trolley is on or off, and one on the right-hand side which is sitting below the battery indicator. Now, that's great because personally I like to know how much battery life is left in the unit. The LED is really quite tiny, so it can be difficult in direct sunlight to tell the difference between a green, an amber and a red light. But what's more frustrating is the fact that when you are going uphill and putting in some extra load on the trolley, because you'll have to make it go faster to keep up your walking pace when you're going uphill, The LED will flicker between green and amber and red because the LED actually changes depending upon the amount of load that is being placed on the battery. It's just kind of annoying and disappointing. When I spoke to Motocaddy about this, they actually said that they are working on a new circuit board which will stop that problem, and they offered to send me one. So thanks very much, Motocaddy, for offering me to be a part of that. But at £500 or £550 if you get this at full price, I just find that a little bit disappointing. Moving on to the Powakaddy. Now the motor is very nice and quiet, just like the Motocaddy, and is really nice and easy to maneuver as well. The dial is nice and chunky. Also, like the Motocaddy, you haven't got a display telling you the speed. So again, a bit disappointing, a bit frustrating. But unlike the Motocaddy, and probably even more frustrating, is that you also don't even have a battery life indicator. You have a single LED which either goes red when the trolley is on but paused, or green when the trolley is moving. That's it. So if you're the type of golfer that has battery life anxiety because you're not sure whether or not it's going to last your whole round, well, yeah, you don't get anything with this one. This really is back to basics. With that being said, when you do pause the trolley and then restart it again, it doesn't reset to a snail's pace like the Motocaddy does. It will go back and continue on whatever setting that you had it on previously. The Powakaddy FX1 has a little clip here at the front to hold your scorecard, but I wouldn't trust it in particularly windy conditions. It's not hugely robust. There's a little pencil holder in there in the front as well. And you've got these 3 slots for teas, which I've got to admit, I do use, and you've got a little clip space on the right as well. So as I alluded to at the start, the Ben Sayers is the most feature packed of the 3. The first thing that you notice is the speed dial and the fact that you've got one. Although the second thing you'll quickly notice is that it looks like it's from the 1980s, but it's there. You also have 3 LEDs, a green, amber and red, showing you the battery life. You also have the A and B button here on the left, which means that you can press that button and you can tell the trolley to go a set distance, whether that's 10, 20 or 30 meters, and then it will stop once it reaches the set distance. I've got to admit, after using these 2 trolleys, I didn't realise how much I like that feature. The trolley never let me down out on the course when I was using it. It's nice and easy to manoeuvre because it is so lightweight. However, that does come with a negative, that it is the most likely to want to tip up. And out on the course, I did actually have it tip up on me when I wasn't paying particular attention filming the review of this trolley. And there are a few other negatives to go along with it as well. The dial, it actually has quite a nice feel to it. There's a decent amount of resistance, but you don't press it to pause, which means that you have to go all the way down to 0 and then start it back up again when you stop and start the trolley. At least you have the display telling you the speed, so it's a lot easier to get this one back up to your speed compared to the Motocaddy, where you just have to kind of guess and feel. The Ben Sayers also seems to have the weakest of the 3 motors. When you go up a hill on this one, you really have to turn up the speed all the way up to max setting, really, just to maintain your speed. The other 2 do slow down as well, but not to the same extent. So if I had £550 to spend on a new electric trolley, which one would I buy? If my budget was really tight and I only had £300 to £350 and I was going to stress about having to spend an extra £200 or £250 to buy one of these, then I think I'd be fine with the Ben Sayers. I might be a little bit disappointed when I use it, but ultimately, if that's my main focus, then it has done the job. It's got plenty of features, the most features in fact. It's got the most accessories that come with it, so it's kind of the most complete package. It just feels a bit cheap and lightweight. However, because generally I try to live by the manner of buy cheap, buy twice, I probably would end up going for either the Powakaddy or the Motocaddy instead. That extra money is giving me a little bit more comfort that these are perhaps going to last me a little bit longer, given that they are built a little bit more solid compared to the Ben Sayers. That's not a guarantee, of course. These only still just come with their 1-year guarantees, and I think you get some additional life on the battery. You have to sign up to the warranties. Between these 2, there's not much in it. I think it depends upon which of the unique features really mean the most to you. For me, the fact that the Motocaddy has a USB charger on the bottom and it has a battery life indicator on it, albeit a bit of a rubbish one, I think this probably just about edges it. However, you wouldn't be disappointed with the Powakaddy if you got that instead, especially knowing that when you're actually using the trolley, starting it and stopping it each time won't reset this one to a snail's pace, which the Motocaddy does. I'd love to know down in the comments which one of these trolleys you think you would go with. And if you're thinking of buying any one of these ones, then please let me know any questions that you have down in the comments below. Tap the like button and hit the subscribe if you found this video helpful. I've included links to buy any of these trolleys along with any discounts down in the description below. And if you're thinking perhaps actually you might want to spend just a little bit more money, then why not check out my full review of the Motocaddy M1 trolley or the Powakaddy FX3, which I've included right here.